From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? It's showtime. I'm Aslan. Corey's here as well. It's Wake Up War Chant. You already know that. Use the promo code WarChant30 if you're not already a member of WarChant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Good gosh, so much to talk about, Corey, but I'm going to try to breeze through as much of it as possible. But we won't talk about Game of Thrones because you're just a masochist and you didn't want to watch it on premiere night.
Correct. Well, I'm going to watch the second showing
on the West Coast
right after we're done here. I've recorded it because I'm a dummy. I forgot to record it at 9, so I was ready to come home at like 9:15, but there's no way I was going to start that show 15 minutes late. So I decided to stay out a little longer, which is my right. I'm an adult, and watch the 11:30 show. But yeah, so I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything.
Okay.
I'm not even trying to read anything into your tone as whether you're disappointed or not.
I'm not saying.
But we'll talk about it in depth sometime later this week, but not tonight.
Oh, we're not going to do a show next Monday, I would imagine, because it's Memorial Day, right? It's for the troops. Take the day off, right? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, so we'll do a show later this week where we're Thrones It out there for a final time, apparently. And we'll also have a Renegade Express. We'll try to do a 3-show week this week for you folks.
Yeah.
Were you about to say something, Corey? I feel like I was interrupting you.
I was not. No, my computer made a weird noise.
All right, glad you're here. All right, we really do have a whole bunch to talk about. The number one golfer in the world is a Florida State alum. His name is Brooks Koepka. The defending national champion softball team has survived and advanced, thrived perhaps and advanced to the super regional round. Willie Taggart brought 2 dudes along with him to talk about Florida State football. That's why I'm down in Tampa. I'm at my mom's house again. I'm in my childhood bedroom, which is an absolute sweltering jungle because it's on the 3rd floor of this thing. And the baseball team, they made you believe, didn't they? For a little bit, if you're crazy enough to believe in these folks, they made you believe, but then they brought you crashing back down to earth again. I kind of want to start there just because that's probably the worst news of the entire weekend, and it's not even that terrible of news, really. You believe that Florida State just needed to win 1 game in Louisville, and maybe that's all they need to do from between now and Memorial Day Monday when it's Selection Monday for the NCAA baseball tournament, Corey. So you're not too bummed right now about Florida State baseball, are you?
Oh, no. I mean, who would have expected them to go and win a series at Louisville? I certainly didn't. I didn't. Honestly, we're speaking honest. We're candid on this show.
Yeah.
I didn't expect them to win a game.
Ooh.
So for them to go up there and win 1, now look, what happened the other 2 games were downright embarrassing. I mean, what was it, like 14-1 and 11-0?
Something like that.
But in the middle there, they won a game 14-3. So, good on them. But yeah, the game 1 and game 3 were utter embarrassments. Drew Parrish and Connor Grady, not so great. The offense decided just to not do anything. But that middle game there, hey, that was something. And this is the thing about RPI. So I think they were going into Saturday's finale. They were like 52 in RPI or 53 in RPI. Mm-hmm. They lost that game and then went up to 50. So
beautiful thing.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, and they lost it. I mean, I know the RPI doesn't take into account like the score, the margin,
clearly
victory, clearly. But they went up to 50 with the loss. But yeah, they did. In my opinion, obviously they're not going to host. I think what happened this weekend assured us all, and I think we were all there anyway. But if they had somehow gone up there and swept Louisville, well, okay, well then still somehow finagling your way into a top 16 seed was a possibility. Mm-hmm. But they took care of that. So we know they're going to be on the road. And literally they're going to be on the road for the first time since I've covered Florida State, if they're in the tournament at all, which I think they did. Winning 1 at Louisville is a really good win. It's a really good win. On the road at Louisville is a top-notch win, but their best win of the year. So getting one of those was a really big deal. I assume maybe they won't feel comfortable if they go 0-2 in pool play in Durham.
I won't. I don't know about them, but I won't.
I assume they won't either. By the way, what is the ACC done with their baseball tournament? Florida State plays a game on Tuesday, and then their next pool play game, because that makes sense, is on Friday.
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's just dumb. The SEC has managed a way to make it with like it's a real baseball tournament. You're not going from Tuesday to Friday. But anyway, if they win one game up there, whether it's against if it's against NC State, for sure they're in. Yeah. If it's against Wake Forest, I definitely think they're in. If they go 0-2, because Wake Forest because they won a series against Wake Forest, didn't they?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So they can't really be penalized too badly for losing to Wake Forest again, and they can't be penalized at all really for losing to NC State in what will be essentially a road game. I really do think that one win at Louisville, getting them to 35 wins on the season, I think it's 17 wins in the ACC, it should be good enough. I know it's the thing about this Florida State baseball team is when they lose, they really make it count.
Magnificently.
Like, they don't just lose 4-2. Oh, no. Anybody can lose 4-2 or 5-3. Let's go lose 8-0 to Boston College. Let's lose 11-0 to Pitt. Let's lose 11-0 in Mike Martin's regular season finale. Yeah. I mean, paying homage to the head coach by giving up 11 runs, perfection. Anyway, I do think 35 wins with a couple really good wins in there, 17 in the ACC, a weak bubble. I would be really surprised if even an 0-2 record with, obviously 2 days off in the middle. I think an 0-2 record in the ACC tournament, I can't imagine that's going to be enough to keep them out. But win one for sure, and you feel I just think they're definitely in.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I do think I think they need to win one. I don't feel good at all if they go 0-2 up there. I would brace for them not making the tournament at that point. But to your point, the bubble is soft. They do play Wake Forest Tuesday at 3 p.m., and then Friday they'll play NC State at 7 p.m., so they'll be nice and well-rested. What I was kind of joking about tongue-in-cheek was there's been all these sort of, not a whole bunch, but there's been moments in the season where, okay, they're going to finally turn the corner. Like, you just thought maybe when they put up 6 runs in 3 innings or whatever it was against Florida in Gainesville, or that was in Gainesville where they totally just melted down, right? Like, all right, they're going to get this win. Everything's going to be behind them, smooth sailing from here. And it didn't happen that way. The Clemson series, you thought, maybe this is going to turn everything for the better. Obviously, it didn't. They end up losing to Stetson, get, no hit by Stetson. They lose to JU on a rescheduled doubleheader. But for them to lose the way they did on Thursday, where Drew Parrish gets rocked, and that's obviously extremely concerning. I don't even know how much confidence you can have in Drew. I was believing in him all up until that moment there. That's just it's tough to. That's going to be the last sort of image I have of him for this season. I guess he's going to be able to probably go one of these games, probably the NC State game, and change that sort of bad taste in the mouth. But for them to come back on Friday, and I think they had bases loaded. Louisville had bases loaded, no outs in the first inning, maybe with C.J. Van Eyck on the bump, and I think only 1 run got in. They were teetering on disaster, and it was averted, and then they just throttled Louisville on Friday. Like, well, maybe this is it. Maybe finally this is that moment in the storybook in 11's final season where they figure it out and hunker down and no more messing around. And then Saturday happens, and they got shut out. But again, they got 1 win in Louisville against a top 10 team. I don't know if they're maybe in contention for a national seed, but they did get 1 victory, top 50 RPI, get a win in Durham, and we'll feel good. Get 2 wins, we'll feel really good. Who's feeling really good right now, I imagine, is Lonnie Alameda, who now has her own fan club of Wake Up War Chant listeners after the Friday program. Lots of people like that show, Corey. Lots of people like that show.
Well, they should, because it was it's certainly the best long-form interview she's ever done, thanks to us.
Yeah. You're welcome, Lonnie.
Unless there was one when she was at UNLV, Wake Up Rebels.
Yeah.
But I don't think that happened. So I'm pretty sure this was the best long-form interview she's ever done. And it was a good interview. And in fact, my ex-wife, the lovely Shanna, I was about to call
Shanna
her
Clark. Shanna Clark.
That ain't it anymore.
Still Shanna Clark.
She said she complimented her and said she was a great interviewee. Yeah. So I think obviously our insightful questions helped, but I also think that fans love hearing from a winner.
Yes.
It's somebody that has real opinions on how to build a culture. And she was very candid and open with us. So yeah, that was a good I enjoyed that interview as well. And it got a little testy there on Sunday afternoon. They almost blew that thing.
Yeah, come on, Lonnie. Tighten up.
Good grief.
We got time for that kind of nonsense. Yeah, well, first off, again, so much gratitude and thanks to her for I tweeted about
great.
it. Nobody this day and age sits down with folks for an hour and just shoots the breeze on the record, let alone in the middle of the season, let alone on the eve of the national tournament, which was when we spoke to her. So that was huge. And then so many people are like, dude, that was great. You guys need to do that more often. It's like, well, she's a gem. We're not going to, if we got, I don't know, Kendall Brile. I mean, seriously, we're like, what, month 7 of him on the job? We haven't even spoke to the offensive coordinator of the moneymaker on campus. Which, whatever, that's your prerogative. You don't want to put them out there. I get it, whatever. But, yeah, these people like Lonnie Alameda don't grow on trees. Like, we'll try. We're going to effort to get as many people on the show as we can to talk about stuff. Mm-hmm. And we're going to try to ask them really good questions to get some answers that I think most people want to know. But they probably won't be as agreeable and go along with things just as well as she did. That just shows how awesome she is. But, yeah, Sunday was a little bit testy. When I was actually at Topgolf to interview Willie, and the players that were made available, they put us in this weird conference room at the Topgolf facility, but there was a television, and it had the Bases Loaded channel showing all the games going on. Apparently one of the reporters that was in that room actually was a South Carolina alum, so he was rooting for South Carolina. And I'm looking at this screen, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, what the hell's going on out there? It's like the 6th inning, and they lost the lead. It was like, what's going on? But never underestimate the heart of a champion, right, Corey?
Well, man, the thing that's so impressive, and we'll talk about Koepka, I'm sure, but very similar kind of narratives there is that what Florida State had they had a 5-0 lead or a 5-1 lead. They jumped on South Carolina right away
5-1.
After Saturday when they set an NCAA record with 4 straight home runs and won 12-1. You're thinking, okay, man, they're going to cruise into the super regionals. And then their star pitcher can't throw strikes, although the umpire didn't help. The star pitcher can't throw strikes. And then all of a sudden you're pitching essentially your number 3 pitcher. And then your defense really starts to kind of gag, just started hemorrhaging. And South Carolina takes the lead. Then they tie the game on some bad defense. And then they take the lead on another error. And you're like, man, what is going on? Are they about to choke this away? Because if it becomes a do or die game, final game against South Carolina, and South Carolina has all the momentum, your star pitcher is kind of rattled because she hasn't been able to throw strikes, you start to wonder, okay, this might be the end of the season. And then they make a great play to get out of the 6th inning. I think it was the 6th inning. It might have been the 5th, but the 6th inning to get out of it. And then they have a freshman come up with 2nd and 3rd and 2 outs. And that's what it reminded me kind of the Red Sox, man. Last year, just really since I really started hating Boston, which was about 2003, 2004, just because I get so tired of hearing about their stupid jinx. It seems like every time they're in a pivotal game, no matter what sport, really, they come up with an enormous play. And then that's what Florida State did. Mackenzie Herzog, a freshman, she wasn't here last year when they won the title. She comes up with the biggest hit of her life to drive in 2 runs and to give them the lead. And that's just what great teams, great programs, they just find a way, man. When the game is on the line at a huge moment, they come through. And that's what she did. And then Megan King, much to her credit, came back and shut it down, man. And got them the win. They shut it down in the 6th and shut it down in the 7th. That's what great teams do, man. They find a way, they answer. Man, they had every right to say, you know what, we have blown this game. We have blown this game, and we've seen multiple sports on this campus that when the things go bad, they really go bad. But softball, part of it's, I'm sure, the confidence that comes with being the defending national champions, but they find a way to rally from that, man. And that to me was the coolest thing to see. They did not keep their poise at all when they got the big lead, but once they gave it up, they went back and stole it back from South Carolina, man. That's just what competitors do. That was really cool to see. And we also didn't want to have we didn't want to be a jinx. The first time we talked to Lonnie Alameda, they go and blow a 5-run lead and lose in the regionals. We didn't want that to happen, so I'm really happy they bounced back.
Not on our watch, man. Not on our watch.
Heck no, not on our watch.
I'm scrolling through my phone.
Not up in here. Sorry.
So they're going to get Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State coming out of the Stillwater Regional.
Okay, bring it, Cowboys. You don't want either. I think, did they call themselves the Cowgirls? That's not even a joke.
No, you're right. I don't think so. I can check that out, though.
However, maybe they called their the women's basketball team or the softball team. I thought they called themselves the Cowgirls.
Well, it does say.
Let's hope they don't.
Google says Oklahoma State. No, I don't see anything about Cowgirls. Actually, no. News. The Tulsa, the Oklahoma newspaper says Cowgirls advance to Super Regional with win over Tulsa.
There you go.
Yeah,
so
look at Corey
the
dropping
Cowgirls are
on
coming.
You. Yeah, apparently they have somebody who hits home runs and bat flips. I still haven't looked her up. But we'll see how that goes.
You know who hits a lot of home runs is Florida State.
Boom! I think they got to lead. They got to lead the nation after that bonanza they went on Friday or Saturday rather. Cool story about that. I'm Twitter lets me know that they were playing. I'm like, oh, I should probably put the game on. I put it on, and was it Sydney Sherrill who hit the grand slam on Friday?
Yeah,
or Saturday. Sorry. Yeah, so I see the grand
slam.
She
hit the fourth one. She was the one that hit the fourth one.
Oh, was she?
Well, the fourth in a row. They hit three in a row, and she was the fourth one.
Well, someone hit the grand slam, and I saw that live. And then I go to the kitchen and make a sandwich, and I come back out, and then right in the middle of it, it's like the first home run trot, and then I saw the second home run, then I saw the third home run, I saw the fourth home run, and then Elizabeth Mason. You ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, you only flight out to the track.
Yeah,
I mean,
so close.
What? No, by the way, she's the one that got that leadoff double in that sixth inning that turned the tide and won them the game. But man, it is ridiculous. They've hit literally 80 home runs more than their opponents. This is nuts. And it's such a violent, and we asked Lonnie about it. Please go back and listen to that interview if you're interested in that at all, interested in it at all. But man, it is something they're doing with that teaching and those hitting coaches that it is amazing watching how violently and hard they swing at the ball and how often they barrel it up. It really is really impressive. I'm not sure I've seen anything like it. I mean, their first 7 home runs of the postseason were by 7 different people. What? They've had 8 people hit double-digit home runs. It's nutty. It's nutty.
Indeed. So, yeah, they'll take on Oklahoma State. I think as of the recording of this show, I don't think the schedule has been released for that matchup against Oklahoma State. So I don't know if it's going to be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But if for some reason it does come down here as we're recording, I shall let everybody that's listening to this program know the answer to the schedule. Moving along to, did we bury the lead, Corey? Did I bury the lead by putting Brooks Koepka 20 minutes into the program, winning the PGA Championship?
Softball is the lead.
Okay.
Because they're still going and they're still a Florida State sport, but he's right up there.
Okay. So Brooks Koepka right now is the first player to hold 2 back-to-back majors at the same time. Brooks Koepka is also the first wire-to-wire winner of the PGA Championship since the great Hal Sutton back at Riviera in '83.
Sure.
This is his third straight year winning a major. Only 7 other golfers have done that in the history of the game, of the sport. Mm-hmm. He's really good at this golf thing. His life's awesome, I bet.
And can you imagine? You think about all the sports you'd want to be great at and the lives they live. But I have to imagine like a top, what would you say? I mean, he's obviously the best in the world right now. But if you're a top 50 in the world golfer, your life must be the best life you can ever possibly imagine. Like you and I, even sitting here as sports fans, can't even really fathom what that life is like. It's got to be nuts. Just incredible. Just, you want some champagne? All right. Well, you want to get on? Hey, we can fly to France.
Yeah.
Let's just hop on our private plane and fly to France because you know what?
NetJets
I'm Brooks Koepka, and that's what I want to do. That's just their life. That's his life now. But what's cool about him, man, and they brought it up, Jim Nantz brought it up a little bit when he was on 18. This isn't the normal story. This isn't the story. Ricky Fowler was a huge deal coming out of college. Tiger Woods, obviously. All these guys, most of these guys on tour, immediately went from college to the tour and became became household names within a year or two and became gazillionaires within, 6 months. Man, that wasn't Brooks Koepka's story. Like, he had to go to Europe. Mm-hmm. He had to get on the European Junior Tour. I don't even think he was on the regular European Tour. And then he started winning on the European Junior Tour. I know it's not called the Junior Tour. I can't remember what it's called. And then he started winning on the European Tour, and that's how he finally came over to the States. Because I remember asking him about, because I did a story on him when I was at the Democrat, probably 2000. I'm going to guess 14, where he was over in Europe and he had won twice on the European Tour. And I asked him about why didn't he do what's the PGA, what's the minor league PGA
Challenge Tour?
Yeah.
The European
so I asked him
Challenge
why
Tour.
he didn't do that, and he thought he was better than that. Number one, it doesn't pay well, but he thought it was better for his game to go over to Europe. And maybe he couldn't even get on the Challenge Tour.
Oh, you're talking about the one here in America, like the web.com.
The one in America.
Web.com.
The web.com.
Yeah.
He wasn't on that. He went over to the European one, the European version of the web.com, and started winning there, and then started winning on the European Tour, which is the second best tour in the world, and then finally came over to America and started doing this. But this is nuts what he's doing. And again, much like the Florida State softball team, man, my man had a 7-stroke lead.
Crazy.
And on, what was it, hole 14, it was down to 1. And you're talking about a Greg Norman-esque, Masters collapse, where you start thinking, oh God, they're going to remember this forever. This is going to be Van de Velde. Like, I'm going to be remembered forever, even though he's won 3 titles, majors. I'm going to be remembered forever as the guy that blew the 7-shot lead on the final day of the PGA. For him to rebound, now Dustin Johnson didn't help himself, but for him to rebound like that and finish the way he did, especially with that shot on 18 to within whatever it was,
the
6
approach.
feet.
That was ridiculous.
Holy moly, man. That's just
Nails.
Stones.
Yeah.
That's just Stones. I know Gano is Onions, and they must have been classmates together. But I know Graham Gano is Onions. Well, man, my man Koepka is Stones then, because that dude, he's won, what has he won, 7 times on the tour total? And
Yes.
4 are majors? That's just crazy, man. When it matters, that guy always plays well. And he finished second at the Masters. I mean, he is unquestionably the best golfer in the world today, right now. And what he's done over the last 2 years is nuts. I tweeted about it. I don't know that he's the best professional athlete in Florida State history right now. I don't think he is. I don't think he can claim that right now. But, man, he's in the conversation, right?
Yeah,
Somebody almost 4 majors.
Somebody almost jinxed it on War Chant. Like, after the opening round he shot that broke the course record at Bethpage Black, like, is Brooks Koepka the best Florida State athlete ever? I'm like, hey, relax. But then he tore it up on Friday, did enough on Saturday to keep a huge monster lead going into Sunday. I'm like, when you think about it, I mean, the discussion can kind of start beginning, and then my brother's texting me while I'm at Topgolf. He's like, are you watching this right now? I'm like, no, what's going on? He's like, dude, he is melting down. I'm like, he's fine. He's got a 7-shot lead. He's like, it's down to 1. I'm like, what? Yeah. What? It almost became a verb, though. You're right. Koepka almost became a verb. I mean,
but
just in terms of,
you know what I mean? Like, it takes something when it starts falling apart. I mean, I haven't golfed since my wedding week. So that tells you how long ago I've golfed.
Really?
But it's I just don't do it. I did Topgolf though. I like Topgolf. Yeah. But when it seems like when these guys start spiraling out of control on a golf course, man, it just never gets back on track. Ever. But my man got it back on track. I mean, that's so hard to do. And the thing is, he's only 28, 29?
Yeah.
Come on, man. He's going to be in his prime for the next 5 years. I mean, you're looking at a guy that you can't deny it. And Nance was kind of selling that point all the way on 18. It's like, you can't deny this anymore. This guy is awesome. Like, I don't know how many, like, Phil Mickelson's won 5 majors total. And he did that over a 18, 20 year span. Koepka's won 4 in 2 years. This isn't normal. It's not Tiger-esque, obviously, because Tiger was its own phenomenon. But in my lifetime, that's the only other person that's had a run like this in majors, and it's Koepka. And that goes a Florida State grad. Well, I don't know if he graduated. He probably did. I don't remember if he graduated. I don't know if he left after his sophomore or junior year. But he's a Seminole. Let me put it that way. That's probably a better way to put it.
There we go.
He is a Seminole, and I would say other than like Deion, Derek Brooks, maybe you throw Buster Posey in that conversation. I think you throw Dave Cowens in that conversation. Man, there aren't any better professional athletes than this dude. This guy is, he's going to end up as one of the best to ever do it.
See, I feel like there were moments there with Derek Brooks when they won the Super Bowl. He was the NFL Man of the Year. That there was serious discussions around like just Derek Brooks being the best, maybe defensive player in the entire NFL. Like with Deion, I don't know if my recall's not as strong because I was a little bit younger, obviously. I always know that people recognize just how great of a cover guy he was. But I feel like so much stuff kind of happened toward it. It's like he almost really started gaining more notoriety for what he was doing off the field towards the end of his career that like somehow added to his greatness more so than his exploits on the field, which I know makes you upset right now because you're like, are you discounting Deion Sanders right now, Aslan? And I'm not. I'm just trying to explain what I'm kind of trying to process here. But yeah, Brooks Koepka right now is like the number one golfer in the world, which I mean that thing fluctuates greatly. But to your point, I mean, obviously the amount of majors he's won in such a short amount of time, the courses that he's dominated at, it was like Shinnecock, I mean, Bethpage Black, these are like really, really tough courses. These are like some of the toughest in the entire major rotation. And the fact that like he's gaining all this notoriety now in the midst of his prime, I mean, still he's got to put I don't know, do we need to say he needs to put a larger body of work? I mean, what he's done in this short amount of time is absolutely amazing. Like if he retired tomorrow, I mean, he still probably is in that conversation. But the fact that he's got, like you said, 5 years, I think that even might be a little bit conservative or a little bit of a definitely a low ball him in terms of what he's got for his prime. But what he can stack on top of this, yeah, it'll be pretty crazy to have his name synonymous with this university, and the greatness that he's doing is going to keep getting, maybe hopefully rotated and spun back to, he played at Florida State, he's a Florida State Seminole, played at Florida State. It's incredible. Good for him, man. And it doesn't suck
it's
to
awesome.
be, it's jacked either.
It's really neat. It's really cool for him. And it's cool for Florida State, obviously, to have that guy. And yeah, man, he's only 29, and we just saw Tiger Woods win a Masters at whatever he is, 42?
Maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, I've always thought me and Tiger and I were the same age.
All right, well, I trust you.
So that's why I thought he was 42 or 43, but I could be thinking of A-Rod. I don't remember. I know me and A-Rod are the same age because I remember him of Faces in the Crowd when I was a senior in high school, but in Sports Illustrated. But yeah, man, in golf, as long as your back holds up, man, he's got another – he's got another 10 years of like prime, contending for majors. And the guy just has a game and the mindset that's really just really, I don't even know, impressive's not strong enough. Again, who else in our lifetimes has won 4 majors in a 2-year span? It just doesn't this isn't normal. Like Spieth didn't do that. Obviously Rory, any of these guys haven't done that. This is kind of next level stuff. And he's the player of the year last year. He's well on his way to winning it again. That 2 straight years of being the player of the year, that's very, very uncommon. So it's going to be interesting. He's the 6th with 4 majors in a 3-year span. The other ones are Woods, Watson, Nicklaus, Palmer, and Hogan.
Good golfers.
Come on, man. Yeah. This guy's putting his name on the all-time list, and I know he got grief, and I don't get it because when I interviewed him, he certainly didn't strike me as boring. He struck me as really confident, like to a funny degree. Like, man, this guy really thinks he's good. All right, man, have fun in Europe. Like, I remember having that conversation being like, man, this guy thinks he's one of the best golfers in the world, and he's not even on the PGA Tour. Well, guess what, man? He was right. He was one of the best golfers in the world, and he is the best golfer in the world right now. So it's just a really cool, thing for Florida State. So, and it's a cool thing for Trey Jones, the golf coach at Florida State. Obviously, Daniel Berger is on the PGA Tour right now. Florida State's been very good at men's golf for quite a while. So hopefully, I can't imagine this hurts having Koepka winning majors every couple months.
Whatever happened to my guy Jonas Blixt?
I don't know. He won a couple times on the tour too, but he just I don't know. I don't know where he is now. That's a good question, buddy. You should look that up.
All right. By the way, Eldrick's 43. He'll turn 44 in December.
There you go. So we're the same age.
Yeah. Fantastic. But
he's older than me. How about that?
But yeah, back to that point
So
though.
he won a major at 40. He won a major at 43.
Yeah.
So that's not Koepka for another 14 years. Yeah. So he could get to 10. I mean, I know I'm putting maybe he doesn't win again, but you don't watch that guy and be like, okay, that's it. I think we thought maybe the first one was a fluke, right. Or then, maybe he just wins the U.S. Open every year. Well, now he's won the PGA Open 2 years in a row too. And he finished second at Augusta. Like, this guy's game is awesome. And unless he gets hurt or gets the yips,
which is a possibility.
Man, this guy's going to be
sadly.
This guy's going to be awesome for a long, long time.
Jack was 46 when he won back in '86.
I remember that. Yeah. I watched that live, buddy. I was 11 years old watching that.
Yeah. He would later spawn he wouldn't spawn, but he would later provide the foundation for a great tight end to come to Florida State.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he'd already provided that foundation, but it later came to fruition.
Okay, there we go.
With old barehanded Nick.
Yeah, but back to that point, though, so there's points, I think, where Buster Posey was talked about as being the best catcher in the entire game, right? I mean, he was up until, maybe 3 years ago, probably?
2 or 3 years ago, yeah, probably.
I think, again, D. Brooks, I think, was talked about in that way. I think, hardcore, football fans knew Deion, just how good he was.
Well, I meant to go back on that. So Deion was the Defensive Player of the Year in '94.
Okay.
It wasn't, and he went from the year he was with the 49ers.
Right. Yeah.
They won the Super Bowl.
They flipped
and
it.
He was the runaway choice for Defensive Player of the Year. And then he went to the Cowboys, and I think they won 2 Super Bowls after that. So Deion was a huge deal in the mid-'90s, and he was appreciated. I don't think it was the stuff that happened. I mean, he was considered the best cornerback in the game when he was with the Falcons, and then obviously went to the 49ers and flew off the charts and was scoring touchdowns every week. So he was I think it's hard to pass that guy, number one, because of what he did. He's considered the best at his position ever.
Yeah. No.
But also, the dude was a World Series player in baseball. Literally in 92 would have won the World Series MVP. He would have been the MVP of the World Series if the Braves had won. That's how good that dude was. He led the league in triples one year.
Yeah.
The guy was an awesome athlete. So I would be really hard-pressed to put Koepka above him.
Oh, yeah.
But again, that's the conversation. I think you're looking at Deion. I think you're looking at – because Posey won 3 world championships, won an MVP, won a Rookie of the Year. I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer, which is a shame, because I think that the thing with catchers is that they just don't last, and they need to – I think there's somebody look this up. Aslan, I know you're not going to, but somebody listen to this, look this up. I think there's 11 or 12 catchers in the Hall of Fame, period. Think about We've been playing baseball for 130 years. There's a gazillion catchers that have been Major League Baseball. There's 12 that have made the Hall of Fame. It is really hard to have the kind of career, to have the long-lasting career it takes to get in the Hall of Fame. So people like Brian McCann, I say that because I covered him in high school.
18, by the way. 18.
Is it 8? But that's not a lot. I can't. What is there a position that's less than that? Maybe second base.
Oh, third base there's 17.
That's weird too.
Yeah.
Was there 120? Well, it was probably 200 outfielders. So
22 left fielders, 24 center fielders, 25 right fielders, 2 DHs. Got that.
And how can you look up how many catchers since 1980? How many catchers have been inducted in the last 40 years, 30 years?
80. Gary Carter, Johnny Bench, and the great Rick Farrell, Carlton Fisk.
Okay. Piazza.
Yes, Piazza. Biz Mackey.
Yeah, he doesn't count. I don't know when he played, but it wasn't in my lifetime.
What year did you say? 1980.
Yeah.
Ernie Lombardi.
And he played in the 30s.
Oh, Pudge Rodriguez.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Lewis.
So there's been 5.
Yeah,
there's been 5 catchers in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
It's just hard to do. And Piazza was not a good catcher, but it's just that position really takes a lot out of you. And Buster just doesn't hit for power anymore. He's still a very good hitter. It hasn't helped that he's in the park he's in because it's almost impossible to hit home runs in that park at night. But at any rate, nobody feels sorry for Buster Posey. He's made $1 gazillion, but that guy would have had a Hall of Fame career maybe if he had just been a first baseman. But catching just takes so much out of these guys, like a Brian McCann, who was a 7-time All-Star and now is a platoon player, even though he's 33. Like, that's not that old. So I hope Buster can rally and find some power and be a great hitter. But either way, I still think he might have a better spot maybe in the all-time pantheon of Florida State athletes too because of what he did at Florida State. Mm-hmm. It was more on the radar. Brooks Koepka was awesome at Florida State too, but he wasn't to Buster Posey's level. And then Posey splashed on the scene. So, yeah, man, I think you're looking at Posey, Cowens, Deion, Derek Brooks, Randy Moss.
Yeah.
That's about it, man, as far as who's in competition with Koepka. I mean, 4 majors in golf is crazy. But you're talking about an all-time guy. God bless him.
All time. I was trying to look this up. I don't. Did he go heads up against Patrick Reed for the national title?
No, it was in the semifinals.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. It might have been him. I was at that. By the way, that's the hottest I've ever been. I covered that tournament. It was near Chattanooga, I think. Florida State was one of 4 teams left. And once you get to the final 8, they do a stroke play for teams, the 20 that qualify or the 18 that qualify to get down to the final 8. And then if you're in the final 8, if you had the best score, you played the number 8 team. If you had the second, you played number 7. So they were in they won their first round. I think they finished number 1 in the stroke play. So they beat the 8 seed, and then they went to the second round where they had to play Augusta State and Patrick Reed. And it was I want to say it was like late May. It had to be late May in Chattanooga. And I sweated through my belt to the point that sweat was dripping off my belt as I walked around the course. Like my hat was done. In fact, Trey Jones' wife bought me a Florida State hat because I was wearing a Georgia hat because I had to have something. Otherwise, my head would have caught fire. Naturally. So the only hat I had in my car was a Georgia hat, and the sun was just beating down. But I legitimately remember seeing like some moisture on, the crotch of my shorts. And I'm like, man, did I pee myself? What is that? And then I realized I felt it, and my belt was leaking onto my shorts because I had sweat through my belt.
Yeah.
So that's the hottest I've ever been. I remember that. I don't know if Koepka played Reed. You could probably look that up.
I've been trying to look it up as you've been talking about your perspiration. I haven't found anything definitively.
If we get Trey Jones on this week, we'll ask him about it. For some reason, I feel like I did ask him about it at one time, and he did say that it was Koepka versus Reed.
Yeah. Man,
how about that, by the way? That's great. I mean, and I was there. Like, I watched, in college golf. By the way, folks, if you're a golf fan, especially if you live in Tallahassee, go watch college golf because it's like you're seeing guys that are going to be on the PGA Tour. Obviously, I saw Brooks Koepka, and I walked like 5 or 6 holes, sweated on everything, but you're right there. You're 4 feet from them. There's nobody there. And in 3 or 4 years, they might be playing in front of 100 million fans. But at a college golf tournament, man, there ain't nobody there except the parents and girlfriends. So you can walk the course with the best golfers in the country, and you're 5 feet from them. So that was fun. But I wish I had a better recall if it was Koepka versus Reed.
What year was it? 2010 or 2011?
Hey man, I don't know.
All right.
I would guess 2010, but I don't know.
Yeah, they won it as a team back in 2010.
I know it was 2010 then.
A guy named
because
John Peterson.
It was definitely 2010 because I remember being like Augusta State. Man, Florida State just got a cakewalk into the finals. Who would they have? Because I didn't know about it. If they had won the championship the year before, I would have remembered that. Oh yeah, they're really good. But I knew when Florida State got Augusta State in the Final Four, I'm like, man, that seems like an automatic win. And then Augusta State obviously was very good.
Yeah.
But you blew it. You can't figure it out, can you? By the way, I found it in 35 seconds. Patrick Reed defeated Brooks Koepka 1-up.
What year?
2010.
But it wasn't the championship, though.
No, it was the Final Four. That Florida State never made it to the championship.
Okay.
But yeah, they played. They went down to the wire. Obviously, Koepka got to within one on the 17th hole, but could not close it out. Reed beat him. Neither one of them were the number one players on their team.
Huh. Look at that.
That was the number two. That was the number two pairing.
Yeah.
Drew
Figured out
Kittleson
Trey
was
Jones.
number one for Florida State, and Henrik Norlander was number one for Augusta State.
Yeah. Old Henrik. Old Henry. So back to football. I think you should just digest as much information as you can about football at this point by checking out warchant.com. But I think you should really just use this as sort of just a bridge to get you to preseason practice. Once that rolls around, then I think you can really start diving back in, feet first, head first, however you like to enter your sandbox, your pool, your fun zone, pleasure town. Because right now we're just getting a lot of the same stuff. And it's kind of hard to get juiced up about what's going on there. We're trying to ask things. He just doesn't have a lot to give us right now, Willie. And I don't know if this is part of his sort of 2019 Retribution Rampage Revenge Tour. Like, I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to get this thing fixed, but I'm going to play it cool right now. But what he did tell us, Alex Hornibrook's there. Things are going well, he said. They're doing player run practice. I try to get Trey McKinney to talk a little bit more about how it all goes down. He didn't give us much. He tried. I do like Trey. Trey's a good dude. DeKalen is a good dude. But there wasn't a lot of newsy stuff going on, but nothing new on Jordan Travis. But I guess the one thing to walk away from there is just that I think Willie's kind of ready to play football, maybe even more than you folks are ready to see his team play football. I'm ready to see them play football.
He's probably just ready to stop talking to you. That's what I gathered from the interview I watched.
Is that what it was?
No, what can you say?
Yeah,
we're in the middle of May.
What can you say?
We're in the middle of May. It's been 6 weeks of this. You're coming off a 5-7 season. Nobody believes what you're saying anyway. It's not that they don't believe it. It's just that it doesn't matter. None of this matters. We saw how much a good offseason and great speeches and rallying up the fan base mattered last year. So none of this is really there. There's nothing real. There's no news. Number one, because they haven't practiced in a month, and they're not going to practice again for another 2-3 months. So there's not a whole lot to talk about, but we're going to try, folks. And again, when you wake up tomorrow, you woke up today, you were 1 day closer to football.
Yeah.
You wake up tomorrow, you're going to be 1 day closer to football, and you're going to be 1 day closer to softball super regional.
Yeah.
Against Oklahoma State. Yeah. I don't remember Florida State playing Oklahoma State in anything.
Come on, Corey.
I'm trying to think. Have they ever played them in football? I don't remember them playing them in football.
Come on, Corey.
You know what? They did lose to them in basketball last year. Not last year, 2 years ago. Brian Angola Rodas' senior year. Yeah. They lost to him in that it might have been the Orange Bowl Classic game.
Yeah.
So
okay, cool.
Yeah, I guess I don't remember playing them in baseball. I don't remember ever playing in. Know what?
Come on, Corey.
I remember that too. I was at the Gator Bowl in '85. No. They played them in '85 and beat Thurman Thomas.
Corey Clark, in a nutshell, would remember the '85 Gator Bowl before remembering the season opener to the 2014 season coming off a national title.
Oh, yeah, that's right. How'd that game go? I forget. I do remember the '85 Gator Bowl, though. Chip Ferguson was on. Woo-hoo! He was feeling it. Oh, boy. Thurman Thomas didn't know what to, I mean, he had a nice game, fine, but he wasn't good enough to beat those Knowles. And Marvin Jones's that would have been Marvin Jones's brother, Fred Jones. Yeah, good times, buddy. That's crazy that I forgot that. Yeah. Oh, boy.
Who loves you? I feel like I'm forcing it at this point. I do want to talk about football, but I feel like I'd be just forcing it at this point.
And really, I just want you to know, before you even finish this sentence.
Okay.
I have Game of Thrones dialed up on my TV. Yeah. I'm looking at the swords crossing.
Okay.
Hey, folks, take that the right way. Yeah. On my TV, Game of Thrones, it's lit up for the final time. I am poised and ready to go for the finale. But hey, if you want to talk about football in May, let's do it.
Well, I was going to say, do you remember? We all remember. We're going into the season a man down. Like, we all remember that, right? I mean, like David Kelly, like we're man down. I just want everybody to remember that.
Hey,
want everybody to remember that.
I have to remind people of that. You don't need. Hey, he's coaching like the 2013 Florida State team. He's got 9 assistant coaches, just like they did.
But we'll wrap it up. We're done. I don't want to force it. I don't have anything good to say. And if I just sit here and ramble for more minutes, you guys will be that more distasteful and just disinterested in what I have to say, more so than you already are. Shout out to John, who works at Top Golf, who directed me to the actual conference room. Shout out to John and his adorable son, who said they listen to the show every day, Corey. Shout out to Brenda and her son, Derek, who also came up and said that they listen to the show every day. Brenda says that I make her upset sometimes, but she still listens every day. She also told me to keep you in line, but I think that was just her polite way of trying to make me feel a little bit better after she said that I make her upset sometimes. So, and also, there was a bunch of people in Panama City that I never shouted out at the booster stop I was out there. I remember a guy named Ken and Evan. There's another guy, too, who was super nice. So it's always good getting out there and seeing folks. And I said I would stop rambling, so I'm going to stop rambling. He's Corey Amazon. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch up with you folks later this week.
Love you guys.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.